Admiral Vasquez led the stunned world leaders through the holographic display of Earth's hidden defenses. Orbital platforms disguised as communications satellites, lunar mining operations that were actually manufacturing centers for advanced weaponry, and asteroid bases with enough firepower to challenge even the Krell-Thien Armada. For 10 years, we've been intercepting and decoding their transmissions, Vasquez explained, her voice steady despite the weight of the moment. The Krell-Thien conquered the Proxima Centauri system 3 years ago. We've been studying their tactics, technology, and weaknesses ever since. President Chen rubbed his temples. Why wasn't I informed? Why weren't any of us informed? The Russian premier nodded in agreement, his face flushed with anger. This level of secrecy is unprecedented. Vasquez's gaze remained unwavering. Because the Krell-Thien have infiltration technology. Their scouts can mimic human form for short periods. We couldn't risk exposure. She tapped her tablet, bringing up footage of what appeared to be a normal human businessman transforming into a chitinous, multi-limbed creature when alone in an elevator. This was captured in Geneva last year. The room fell silent. Operation Sleeping Giant was authorized by the Security Council's Delta Protocol. The extinction-level event contingency. Only 5 humans on the planet knew the full scope. Vasquez continued. Now all of you do too. The Chinese president leaned forward. These defenses, will they be enough? Vasquez exchanged glances with General Santos, her second in command. The stocky Filipino man stepped forward. We're not planning to just defend, he said gravely. The Krell-Thien expect submission or a doomed resistance. They've conquered 17 species using the same playbook, but humans, he smiled thinly. We're about to introduce them to a third option. Vasquez activated another hologram, this one showing the Thunderbolt array hidden within Mars' Olympus Mons crater. Dr. Tanaka has developed technology that will turn their own energy signatures against them. But we need to get close enough to deploy it. And how exactly do we manage that? The British Prime Minister asked. We're going to surrender, Vasquez replied, her expression hardening. Very publicly and very convincingly. The room erupted in protests until the Secretary General banged her gavel repeatedly. Explain, Admiral. The Krell-Thien Emperor will expect our capitulation. Their psychological profile indicates they value ceremony and submission rituals. We'll give them exactly what they're expecting. A defeated species ready to join their empire. General Santos continued. Meanwhile, Commander Wolf's Special Forces teams will be using the ceremony as cover to infiltrate their command vessels. We only need 30 minutes of access to upload Dr. Tanaka's algorithm into their network. Vasquez's tablet chimed. She glanced down, and her expression darkened. They've just destroyed our Europa research station. 800 civilians and scientists. The room fell silent again as the implications sank in. They're growing impatient. Every Krell-Thien conquest begins with a demonstration killing. President Chen stood, his earlier uncertainty replaced with resolve. How soon can we implement this plan? The surrender ceremony must appear properly desperate, Vasquez answered. We'll need 7 days of visible panic and global unrest. By day 8, we offer our unconditional surrender. The Secretary General surveyed the room. Those in favor of authorizing Operation Thunderclap. One by one, hands raised across the chamber, some steady, others trembling, but all unified in purpose. Very well, the Secretary General said quietly. Humanity surrenders, but only so we can deliver the first real blow. May God help us all. Dr. Hiroshi Tanaka adjusted his glasses as he studied the quantum array's fluctuating energy patterns. The heart of Project Thunderbolt pulsed with barely contained power, drawing from the massive solar collector arrays hidden on Mercury's dark side. 10 years of theoretical work, 3 years of prototyping, and now, with humanity's survival at stake, he had mere days to perfect it. Energy synchronization at 87%. Doctor, his AI assistant Aria reported, her holographic form flickering beside him. The containment field is holding, but I'm detecting harmonic instabilities in the tertiary matrix. Tanaka nodded, his fingers dancing across the control panel. Compensating. Redirect power from nodes 4 through 7. He paused, watching the reading stabilize. The Krell theme technology uses quantum entanglement for their communications network. If we can insert our algorithm at a single point, it will propagate throughout their entire system within microseconds. AI finished. But we still need direct access to their network backbone. That's Commander Wolf's problem, Tanaka muttered, reaching for his coffee cup, empty for the third time that hour. Ours is making sure this works the first time. There won't be a second chance. Halfway across the solar system, Commander Jackson Wolf floated in near-zero gravity aboard the stealth vessel Phantom, watching through specialized sensors as the Krell-themed destroyer returned to its fleet. The nanobots his team had deployed during the space station's destruction were functioning perfectly, transmitting valuable data about the alien vessel's interior structure and crew movements. Deployment confirmed, his tactical officer, Lieutenant Kira Singh, reported. All units transmitting on schedule. We're getting unprecedented data on their propulsion systems, weapons configurations, and... She paused, her expression shifting from professional to astonished. Sir, we're detecting biological signatures unlike the others. They have prisoners aboard. Non-Krell-themed species. Wolf pushed himself closer to her station, studying the readings. Survivors from other conquered worlds, he said grimly. They're using them as slave labor. His communication officer interrupted. Sir, priority message from Admiral Vasquez. Wolf activated the quantum encrypted channel. Vasquez's face appeared, tight with controlled anger. You've seen the data from the nanobots? She asked without preamble. Yes, Admiral. They're keeping prisoners. Not just prisoners. Test subjects. Vasquez's expression hardened further. We've decoded some of their internal communications. The Krell-themed aren't just conquerors. They're harvesting genetic material from every species they encounter. Something about perfecting their form. Wolf felt a cold fury building. Does this change our operational parameters? It strengthens our resolve, Commander. We're accelerating the timetable. The surrender ceremony is now scheduled for 5 days from now, not 7. She leaned closer to the camera. Your team's insertion window will be tighter. Can you handle it? Wolf thought of the specialized training his multinational team had undergone, the countless hours in simulated Krell-themed environments. Every member had been selected not just for combat skills, but for improvisational thinking, the uniquely human ability to adapt on the fly. We'll be ready, Admiral. What about Dr. Tanaka's device? He'll have it ready, Vask said with absolute confidence. He's never failed us yet. As the communication ended, Wolf turned to his team gathered in the Phantom's command center, 12 of Earth's most elite special operators, representing 9 different nations. Ladies and gentlemen, he announced, our timetable just got compressed. We now have 5 days to prepare for the most important mission in human history. He allowed himself a tight smile. Let's make sure these bugs regret ever hearing the word Earth. Ambassador Liu maintained her perfect posture, despite the crushing weight of 6 billion human gazes upon her shoulders. The International Space Station's observation module, hastily converted into a ceremonial chamber, felt impossibly small with the towering Krell-themed delegation present. Their chitinous exoskeletons gleamed under the harsh lighting, mandibles clicking occasionally in what human xenolinguists had determined was amusement. The terms are most generous, Liu said, her voice carefully modulated to convey defeated gratitude. The nanites in her ceremonial makeup scanned continuously, transmitting biological data to Dr. Tanaka's team. Humanity is honored to join the glorious Krell-themed empire. Supreme Commander Drez Karn towered over her, nearly 9 feet of armored insectoid muscle. Your species shows wisdom in surrender, he clicked, mandibles spreading in what passed for a smile in his species. The 17 who came before you mostly chose extinction. Their remnants serve us still. Liu lowered her eyes, partly in feigned submission, partly to hide the flash of rage. In her ear, Admiral Vasquez's voice whispered through the subdermal communicator. Biodata transmission at 93%. Keep him talking. Liu lifted the crystalline treaty tablets, designed by Dr. Tanaka personally. They appeared ornate and ceremonial, Earth bringing its finest craftsmanship as tribute. But each tablet contained quantum transmitters mapping every centimeter of the Kralthine ships. There is a human custom, Liu said softly. For momentous occasions, we share drink to symbolize our new bond. A human attendant brought forward an ancient ceramic flask. Genuine 15th century Japanese craftsmanship. Another transmission point, broadcasting directly to Wolf's team as they moved silently through the station's maintenance areas, their advanced stealth suits bending light around them. Dreskarn's translator analyzed the liquid. No harmful substances detected, it reported. We would not dare poison our new masters, Liu said with just the right amount of obsequious panic. Such an act would doom our world. The Kralthine commander's compound eyes studied her for a moment before he accepted the ceremonial cup. Human viewers around the world watched with bated breath as humanity's apparent capitulation unfolded. Many wept, believing they were witnessing Earth's surrender. Only a select few knew the truth. In her command center beneath the Antarctic ice, Admiral Vasquez monitored multiple feeds simultaneously. Wolf's team in position, her communications officer reported. Dr. Tanaka's uplink established. All systems ready. Vasquez nodded, her finger hovering over the secure terminal. One command would activate humanity's hidden defenses. On my mark. On the station, Dreskarn raised the ceremonial cup. To your species' integration into our glorious empire, he announced for the broadcast. Ambassador Liu bowed deeply, her tears, containing the final batch of nanites, falling precisely where they needed to. To new beginnings, she responded. As the alien commander drank, Liu caught the barely perceptible shimmer of light behind him. Wolf's team moving into final position. The treaty tablets in her hands pulsed once, invisibly to Kralthine sensors, signaling complete data acquisition. The human surrender is hereby accepted, Dreskarn declared, setting down the cup. He activated his communication device, speaking in his native tongue to the Emperor waiting in the flagship. My Emperor, I am pleased to report the humans surrender with minimal resistance. Their world is yours. Admiral Vasquez's lips curved into a cold smile as she received the signal. The moment had arrived. Years of preparation, billions in secret funding, humanity's greatest minds working in shadow, all for this precise moment. Commence Operation Thunderclap, she ordered, pressing the command key. Let's show these bugs what humanity does when cornered. Across the solar system, disguised weapons platforms and hidden ships powered up simultaneously, preparing to deliver Earth's true response. Supreme Commander Dreskarn's mandibles froze mid-click as the lights throughout his flagship flickered. The ceremonial chamber's atmosphere shifted instantly from triumphant to chaotic as Kralthine officers received frantic communications from their fleet. My lord, we're experiencing system-wide failures, his second-in-command reported, compound eyes dilating with alarm. Shields collapsing across all vessels, weapons systems offline. Something is corrupting our network. Before Dreskarn could respond, Ambassador Liu's transformation stunned him into momentary silence. Gone was the tearful, submissive diplomat. She stood tall now, her ceremonial robes falling away to reveal a sleek combat suit. The quantum pistol in her hand hummed with energy as she aimed it directly at his central neural cluster. The treaty, she said with cold precision, contained a few clauses your translator conveniently omitted. Simultaneously, Commander Wolf's team materialized throughout the chamber, their stealth technology deactivating to reveal 12 heavily armed operatives with weapons trained on the Kralthine delegation. The maintenance hatches burst open as additional human forces secured the module. Station secured, Wolf reported through his tactical visor. All objectives achieved with 0 human casualties. Outside the viewport, the transformation of Earth's orbital infrastructure unfolded with mechanical precision. What the Kralthine had dismissed as primitive satellites and debris suddenly reconfigured, revealing advanced weapon systems that surrounded the alien vessels like a net closing around prey. Hriskarn's multifaceted eyes narrowed at Liu. Impossible. Your technological level was precisely what we wanted you to believe. Liu interrupted. A fundamental mistake your species made, confusing what you see with what exists. In her Antarctic command center, Admiral Vasquez watched as green confirmation lights cascaded across her tactical display. Every Kralthine ship in Earth orbit was now neutralized, their systems compromised by Dr. Tanaka's quantum algorithm propagating throughout their network. She opened the broadcast channel that would reach not just Earth, but every system in Kralthine space. "Attention Kralthine Empire," she began, her voice steady and resolute. "This is Admiral Elena Vasquez of Earth's Defense Force. Your invasion fleet has been neutralized. Your command structure has been compromised. Your Emperor is now witnessing the consequences of underestimating humanity." On the main screen, the Kralthine Emperor's iridescent carapace reflected the chaos unfolding in his throne room as reports of simultaneous attacks throughout his empire flooded in. "For generations, you've conquered species who weren't prepared for your arrival," Vasquez continued. "You mistook our limited space presence for technological inferiority. That was your fatal error." She nodded to her communications officer, who transmitted the next phase of the operation to Earth's hidden fleet. "You wanted war with humans. You're about to discover why that was your final mistake." On the space station, Commander Wolf secured Supreme Commander Dreskarn with specialized restraints designed specifically for Kralthine physiology. "The Europan research station," Wolf said quietly, referencing the 800 humans killed in the alien show of force. "Those were scientists. Civilians. Did you even bother to check before you destroyed it?" Dreskarn's mandibles clicked in what the translation software identified as confusion. "Why would that matter? Demonstrating our power is standard protocol." Ambassador Liu exchanged glances with Wolf. "And that," she said, "is exactly why your empire falls today. You never bothered to learn who you were attacking." Throughout the solar system, humanity's hidden defenses activated fully. Stealth vessels emerged from the shadows of moons and asteroids. Weapon platforms that had masqueraded as mining equipment powered up. And deep within Mars' Olympus Mons crater, Dr. Tanaka initiated the Thunderbolt-erased primary sequence. "Quantum entanglement established," he reported to Admiral Vasquez, "preparing for system-wide deployment." The real war was about to begin. The Kralthine Imperial Dreadnought Unstoppable Dominion emerged from hyperspace at the coordinates of its colony on Proxima Centauri, expecting to reinforce their garrison against the surprising human counterattack. Instead, Captain Vrex Thor found himself staring at the impossible, his forces in full retreat, 3 of their heaviest cruisers disabled and drifting, and unfamiliar ships with Earth markings controlling the orbital space. "How?" he chittered to his bridge crew. "Scan those vessels. Their technology cannot possibly." "Sir," his tactical officer interrupted, antenna twitching nervously. "The human ships. They are using modified Kralthine drive signatures. And their weapon systems. They're derivatives of our own designs." Aboard the UES Nemesis, Admiral Vasquez watched the new Kralthine arrival with cold satisfaction. "Right on schedule," she noted to her bridge crew. "They're so predictable in their response patterns. Target the propulsion systems only. We want them immobilized, not destroyed." Lieutenant Commander Dias, her tactical officer, nodded as he relayed the orders. "Firing solution ready, Admiral. Precision strike packages deployed." The Nemesis launched a barrage that struck the Kralthine dreadnought with surgical precision, specifically targeting the areas Dr. Tanaka's analysis had identified as critical weaknesses in their design. The massive alien vessel shuddered, its engines flaring before shutting down completely. "The Proxima system is secured, Admiral," Dias reported. All colonial forces neutralized or in retreat. Minimal casualties on both sides. Vasquez allowed herself a momentary smile. Commence Phase 2. Deploy the diplomatic package. Across the conquered worlds of the Kralthine Empire, a similar scene played out as humanity's hidden fleet appeared simultaneously through Dr. Tanaka's stabilized wormholes. The element of surprise, combined with the precise targeting of Kralthine weaknesses, resulted in a cascade of victories that left the once mighty empire reeling in disbelief. On the subjugated world of Kepler 22 bits, the indigenous squid-like Nari watched in stunned silence as their Kralthine overseers were suddenly neutralized by unknown attackers. When the first human envoys emerged from their vessels, the Nari Elder Council approached cautiously, their translucent tentacles rippling with anxiety. "Are you the new conquerors?" the High Elder asked through their primitive translation device. Commander Sofia Rodriguez, leading the Earth diplomatic team, shook her head. "We are humans from the planet Earth. We've come to offer alliance, not conquest. The Kralthine made the mistake of attacking our world. We're ensuring they never make that mistake again, or with any other species." Across 17 star systems, similar conversations unfolded as Earth forces secured Kralthine strongholds and made first contact with their former subjects. The intelligence gathered from these encounters revealed the true scope of the Kralthine Empire and the horror of their rule. In her quarters aboard the Nemesis, Admiral Vasquez reviewed the reports with growing resolve. The holograms displayed before her showed species subjected to genetic experimentation, worlds stripped of resources, and civilizations reduced to servitude. "They're worse than we anticipated," she told General Santos through their secure quantum link. "The biological data from the liberated worlds confirms it. They'd been systematically harvesting genetic material, looking for something specific." Santos' holographic image nodded grimly. "Dr. Tanaka's analysis suggests they're attempting to engineer some kind of perfect form. But the real question is why. That's what we need to find out," Vasquez replied, studying the tactical map showing Earth forces advancing toward the Kralthine homeworld. Commander Wolf's interrogation of Supreme Commander Dres Karn has yielded information about something they call the Architect, supposedly the source of their technological advancement. She magnified the image of the Kralthine home system, focusing on unusual energy readings emanating from their primary planet. "Whatever it is," she said quietly, "it's the key to ending this war for good." The Nemesis led Earth's fleet through the debris field of shattered Kralthine defense platforms. Admiral Vasquez stood on the bridge, her expression grim as the alien homeworld came into view on the main display, a massive terrestrial planet with twin moons, its surface a patchwork of sprawling hive cities and industrial complexes. Final scans confirmed. "Admiral," Lieutenant Commander Dias reported, "the energy signature is emanating from a facility near the planetary core. It's unlike anything we've encountered before." Dr. Tanaka's hologram appeared on the command deck, his normally calm demeanor replaced with barely contained excitement. "It's not technology as we understand it," he explained, manipulating the 3D model of the energy readings. "These patterns suggest consciousness, an entity capable of manipulating energy at the quantum level." "You're saying they've enslaved some kind of being?" Vasquez asked, the implications dawning on her. "Precisely," Tanaka confirmed. "And based on the power output, they're using it to fuel their entire civilization." Commander Wolf, fresh from interrogating the captured Kralthine leaders, joined the conference. "That explains what we learned from Dres Karn. Their legends speak of capturing a star that walked 1,000 years ago. Their entire technological revolution began immediately after." General Santos' hologram nodded, a civilization of natural warriors suddenly acquiring advanced technology. "They didn't develop it. They stole it." Wolf studied the tactical overlay of the Kralthine capital. "We need to get to that facility. A small team could infiltrate while the fleet engages their remaining defenses." "This changes our primary objective," Vasquez decided after a moment. If this entity is being used against its will, liberating it becomes our priority. She turned to Wolf. Assemble your best team. I want you leading this personally. 12 hours later, Commander Wolf led his special operations team through the atmosphere of the Kralthine homeworld in stealth dropships. The planet's surface was chaos as Earth forces engaged the remaining Kralthine military in precise, strategic strikes designed to minimize collateral damage while drawing attention away from Wolf's mission. Approaching drop zone, Lieutenant Singh reported from the pilot's seat. Heavy anti-aircraft fire in adjacent sectors, but our corridor remains clear. Through the viewport, Wolf observed the alien landscape, vast hive structures interconnected by massive transit tubes, all built around enormous energy conduits that pulsed with an eerie blue light. But what struck him most were the other species visible, even from this altitude. Countless enslaved beings from dozens of worlds, laboring under Kralthine overseers. This isn't just an empire, he said quietly to his team. It's a farm. They landed in a maintenance sector, deploying immediately into the sewer-like underbelly of the massive hive city. As they navigated the tunnels, guided by Dr. Tanaka's real-time directions through their neural links, they encountered more evidence of the Kralthine's true nature. Biological processing chambers, Lieutenant Santos, their xenobiologist, identified as they passed massive facilities filled with tanks containing partial organic specimens. They're not just harvesting genetic material, they're testing combinations, creating hybrids. The team descended deeper, following the increasingly intense energy readings. The tunnels grew warmer, the walls themselves pulsing with the same blue energy they'd observed from orbit. We're close, Wolf informed Admiral Vasquez through their quantum link. The facility should be just ahead. They emerged onto a catwalk overlooking an enormous spherical chamber at what must have been the planet's core. In the center, suspended in a complex containment field, floated what appeared to be a miniature sun, but one that shifted and pulsed with unmistakable patterns of consciousness. My God, Wolf breathed. It's alive. Around the entity, hundreds of Kralthine scientists worked at control stations, siphoning energy from the being through crystalline conduits that fed into the planet's power grid. We found it, Admiral. Wolf reported. We found the architect. Commander Wolf signaled his team to take defensive positions around the catwalk overlooking the architect's chamber. Below them, dozens of Kralthine scientists moved with purpose around the captive entity, oblivious to the human infiltrators. What's the plan, Commander? Lieutenant Singh whispered, her weapon trained on the nearest cluster of aliens. Dr. Tanaka, Wolf vocalized through his neural link. We need options. How do we free this thing without destroying half the planet? Aboard the Nemesis, Dr. Tanaka studied the data streaming from Wolf's team. The containment field is sophisticated, derived from the architect's own energy pattern. But there's a vulnerability. It's designed to keep energy in, not out. Project Thunderbolt, Admiral Vasquez realized. It was never meant to be a weapon. Precisely, Tanaka confirmed. If we reconfigure the quantum array to match the architect's resonance frequency, we could disrupt the containment field without harming the entity. Commander, Vasquez addressed Wolf, we're sending you the modified Thunderbolt code. Upload it to the facility's main control node. Wolf acknowledged and turned to his team. Singh, Santos with me. We're heading for the central platform. Everyone else, create a diversion on my mark. As the team prepared, a massive tremor shook the facility. Above, Admiral Vasquez's voice came through their comms. Be advised, we've engaged the remaining Kralthine fleet. Heavy fighting in orbit. Ground forces are facing significant resistance. Wolf nodded to his explosives expert. Time for that diversion. Precisely placed charges detonated across the far side of the chamber, creating chaos as alarm systems blared. In the confusion, Wolf and his two team members rappelled down to the central platform, using their adaptive camouflage to blend with the panicked movement of Kralthine scientists. They reached the main control node, a crystalline structure pulsing with the same blue energy as the architect. Lieutenant Santos interfaced their modified Thunderbolt device with the alien technology, while Singh and Wolf provided cover. Upload at 40%. Santos reported as Kralthine security forces began to organize a response to the intrusion. 60%. 80. A massive Kralthine warrior, nearly twice the size of the others, burst onto the platform. His iridescent carapace bore the markings of the Imperial Guard. Humans. He chittered in rage, mandibles spreading wide to reveal secondary jaws. Wolf stepped forward, drawing the alien's attention away from Santos. "You should have left us alone," he said calmly, activating his vibroblade. "We were perfectly happy minding our own business." The guard captain charged, his clawed limbs slashing with incredible speed. Wolf ducked and weaved, his combat implants pushing his reflexes beyond normal human limits. The blade found a gap in the alien's armor, penetrating deep. "Upload complete," Santos called as the guard captain collapsed. The effect was immediate and dramatic. The containment field around the architect began to fluctuate, its energy pattern shifting from forced stability to natural chaos. The entity within pulsed brighter, its form expanding as control systems throughout the facility overloaded. "Get back to the extraction point," Wolf ordered his team as the entire chamber began to shake. "Move." As they retreated, the architect's containment field collapsed completely. The being within unfurled into a form of breathtaking complexity, something between pure energy and conscious matter. It expanded outward, touching every system connected to its prison. Throughout the Kralthine Empire, their technology began to fail as the architect reclaimed its stolen power. Ships fell from orbit, weapon systems shut down, and the genetic experimentation facilities collapsed. But the entity showed precision in its liberation. Civilian infrastructure remained operational. Enslaved species were left unharmed. Only the machines of war and domination ceased functioning. Aboard the Nemesis, Admiral Vasquez watched in awe as the architect's energy signature expanded throughout the system, then beyond, touching every corner of the Kralthine Empire simultaneously. "My God," she whispered, "it's not attacking. It's healing." As Wolf's team reached their extraction craft, the architect's presence brushed against their minds, not in words, but in concepts and emotions. Gratitude, freedom, balance restored. The liberation was complete. The war was over. But understanding what they had truly done was just beginning. 6 months after the architect's liberation, the Grand Conclave convened in Earth's newly constructed Harmony Station. The massive orbital facility, built with a combination of human ingenuity and technology shared by the architect, housed representatives from 23 formerly enslaved species alongside human delegates. Admiral Vasquez adjusted her formal uniform as she prepared to enter the central chamber. Dr. Tanaka stood beside her, reviewing notes on his tablet. "Nervous?" she asked her old friend. Tanaka smiled slightly. "Terrified. I'm a scientist, not a diplomat." "Today, we're all diplomats," she replied as the massive doors slid open. The chamber beyond was a testament to cooperative design. Each species' environmental and cultural needs accommodated in a space that somehow felt welcoming to all. At the center stood Supreme Commander Dres Karn, now prisoner rather than conqueror, his once gleaming carapace dulled by captivity. The Galactic Council, formed of representatives elected from each species, presided from a raised dais. The Nari High Elder's tentacles rippled as she addressed the assembly. "We gather to determine the fate of the Kralthine and the future of our shared galaxy," her translation echoed through the chamber. "The human delegation, as architects of our liberation, will speak first on appropriate justice." Admiral Vasquez approached the central podium, aware of the billions watching across multiple worlds. She paused before Dres Karn, studying the fallen commander. Then, to the shock of many, she removed his restraints. "The easy path would be punishment," she began, her voice carrying throughout the chamber. "The Kralthine enslaved worlds, harvested species, and attempted to conquer us all. By any measure, they deserve our collective wrath. Murmurs of agreement rippled through the assembly. But revenge continues cycles, she continued. Restoration breaks them. Earth proposes the Galactic Restoration Initiative. The chamber's holographic display activated, showing plans for redistributing Krelthian territories and technology to rebuild devastated worlds. Most surprisingly, it showed Krelthian themselves working alongside former slaves in the reconstruction. Their species will not be eradicated or imprisoned, Vasquez explained as shocked whispers spread. They will help rebuild what they destroyed. Their knowledge will serve life rather than domination. This is not mercy. It is justice with purpose. Dr. Tanaka stepped forward, activating additional displays showing scientific exchange protocols. The architect has shared understanding beyond our individual comprehension. This knowledge belongs to all species to be developed cooperatively. Commander Wolf, now General Wolf, presented the final component, a united peacekeeping force with representatives from every species, including reformed Krelthian who had opposed their empire's expansion. The chamber erupted in debate. Some called for harsher punishment. Others embraced the restoration approach. After hours of discussion, the vote was taken. Earth's proposal passed by a narrow margin. As the formal proceedings concluded, the architect's presence manifested briefly, not physically, but as a shared awareness touching all minds present. It conveyed not domination but partnership, remaining as guardian and guide rather than ruler. During the celebration afterward, a young Krelthian scholar approached Admiral Vasquez as she stood by the observation window, Earth glowing blue in the distance. "I studied your species before our invasion," he said hesitantly, his translator rendering his clicks into smooth speech. "Nothing suggested this outcome. Nothing indicated your technological capabilities or strategic thinking." Vasquez studied him curiously. "What's your name?" "Trazven," he replied, "former imperial historian. Now, I'm not sure what I am." "A survivor," she offered. "Like all of us." He gestured toward Earth. "How did you know? How did your species prepare so perfectly for an enemy you couldn't have anticipated?" Vasquez looked out at her homeworld, remembering humanity's long, bloody history. "We spent millennia fighting ourselves," she explained, watching understanding dawn in his alien eyes. "When we finally looked to the stars, we recognized the darkness because we had faced it within. The difference is, we chose to overcome it." Trazven considered this. "And now, what becomes of us all?" The Admiral smiled slightly as she watched representatives from across the galaxy mingling, sharing stories and hopes. Something new, something better than any of us could have built alone. In the distance, the architect's energy signature pulsed gently among the stars, no longer imprisoned but present, a reminder that power could be shared rather than hoarded, and that even the darkest empires could be transformed rather than simply destroyed. Humanity's thunderous response had echoed across the galaxy not as endless destruction, but as the beginning of something unprecedented, genuine cooperation among the stars.